You are now listening to Podcast Like a Champion Today, an OU football podcast produced by fans for fans. Now, here are your hosts, Noah, Joe, Johnny, and Christian.
All right, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Podcast Like a Champion Today. This is going into week 3 of college football, just coming off of the OU Kent State game where we saw OU get a win, and now we're rolling into OU versus Nebraska. So big week there, obviously. Big announcements this week from both teams. From Nebraska, as we talked about in our post-game pod, where we were saying surely Scott Frost will be gone by October 1st. Things happened a lot sooner. Johnny, what are your thoughts? What are you thinking about this Scott Frost Nebraska situation?
Yeah, so definitely teaches me my lesson about making predictions, because less than 12 hours after I said I don't think they're going to fire him, they can't.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, we all ate
We
our
were
words
so
on
wrong.
Well, I think most of us said that whenever his contract got reduced October 1st, that we expected him to be gone. But this happened a lot sooner.
Yeah, that's not what I said. I thought he was going to keep his job, but maybe he else said that.
It's just the timing, like right after the podcast is when the stuff came out, and we're like, oh man.
Like 12 hours after we recorded or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Joe texted us and said, I sound like an idiot because of my Scott Frost prediction. And it was like less than a couple hours after our podcast released. So that was pretty awesome.
Yeah. So as far as replacement rumors, Matt Campbell's been a name that's been thrown around. I don't see him leaving Iowa State. I think he's got the program he wants right there. And he's building some good stuff there. But honestly, they're going to have to throw a lot of money at somebody to get them to come there. Like it's just the program, it has history and some good players, but like, first off, the position like of the school. We talk about OU not winning some commits because they want to go play at like Miami or like California or whatever. But even more so, people don't want to go live in Nebraska for 3 years. And the same thing with coaches. But another name I saw, which honestly piqued my interest, if they threw enough money at him, was not Bill Belichick. Good night.
Bill O'Brien.
Bill O'Brien, thank you.
Yeah.
The OC for Alabama. My one caveat with that is I think if he takes another position, it would probably be an NFL job. But that could be a good name.
Deshaun Watson kind of screwed him over there.
Absolutely, yeah. So those are some of the names. I mean, there just really hasn't been any key interest. Scott Frost was the guy. I mean, he's literally grew up in that area, played there, So
he was the last. Wasn't he the last QB they had that won a national championship? In like 96 or 97 or something?
The late 90s, yeah. He was a QB there, and then he played like 2 or 3 years in the league, I think a year with the Packers. But he just was the good fit, and just as far as like a culture guy, I guess just obviously they want to win games, so we'll see how that goes. But yeah, what do y'all think about them firing him this early? Do you think it's a poor move, or what do you guys think?
Yeah, I think it's a dumb thing to do, just to not wait until. I mean, we heard my take and Johnny's take on Saturday night, so I was wrong about that. But I do think at the very least they should have just waited until October 1st, right? October 1st was the date, right? That his contract like ended or whatever, and they saved what, $8 million?
Yeah, like 7.5, I think, is the specific number, but yeah.
So just it's not. I don't know. It's you already lost to Northwestern, and then you gave up that loss on Saturday. So like, it's not like your season's gonna like matter that much after this. So like, I don't know. That's just, it seems like a really petty and just irrational thing to do, to not wait and save yourself $8 million. But I don't know.
I get that. Makes it. Go ahead.
I get that side of it. At the same time, they want, like, this game's been on their calendar for like 3 years now, and it's kind of their Super Bowl this year. Like, if they can knock OU off that, I mean, that's a huge stepping stone for the program. Could be a turning point, and I think Mickey Joseph's a good coach. A lot of times you see like when Lincoln left, you have like Bob and Cale stepping up. Normally it's coaches that players respect and are going to play their hardest for. So, I mean, I think OU is going to get their best effort. Fans, the atmosphere is going to be something this team hasn't seen, obviously. And I mean, I'm expecting it to be kind of a dogfight.
Yeah. So I found this quote that I thought was interesting. So Adrian Martinez, he's the quarterback for K-State now. He played for 4 years at Nebraska and was a starter there. Threw for over 8,000 yards and 45 touchdowns in that time. But Nebraska went 15-29 in those games. So like, offense has been prolific for a while, but the defense has sucked. But he said after finding out about his coach of 4 years being fired, he said, there's still a lot of people there I care about, and you hate to see a man lose his job. But, thoughts with him and thoughts with the guys and the coaches and all the support staff there, because many people are misplaced during that type of thing. Like, this dude, he's just saying, I feel like, to be like a good PR person. Like, he didn't really seem to care. So maybe there's more to it than we know. Like, I feel like Scott's been a good guy, but maybe he doesn't have like a relationship with the players that maybe would have helped keep his job either. So,
yeah. I mean, at this point, with the way that the program has been, since the early 2000s, you wonder if there's an issue that's further than just the coaching. Like, if it's further up the line, if just the whole culture and, they come to campus, do players not want to be there? Like, once they're on campus, is it just awful experience? Like, what is it that has made this program continue to be so bad for the last, 20 years, whenever they used to be a powerhouse program? And so it's definitely interesting because, Scott Frost still, like you said, still had the offensive success. He did well at UCF, and we all thought he might do a little better whenever he came to Nebraska. I think most people thought that was a good hire, and it just hasn't panned out at all. But it definitely makes it really interesting rolling into this week, like seeing that coaching change and how is that going to affect the way they play going into, like you said, their biggest game of the year, probably their Super Bowl, which as an OU fan, I don't know if you are like more happy that change happened and you think it gives us an easier game to win, or if it's more scary. I think it's definitely on that side of it, like new team, new coach, they're going to be probably fired up to try to go out and prove themselves now, which more than they were before.
You'll see more like offensive diversity with Mickey Joseph in there. To that point, like you're talking about Martinez, like Kansas State's going off. Like last week they lit the world on fire. And you see like Casey, like even this week, Brent said like he wishes Casey the best except this week because they want to win. But like he talked about in his press conference today how they tried to get him out here. So they have like offensive talent, and like you said, offense really hasn't been the issue, it's been their defense. And to the recruiting point, I mean, we're 24, 25, 26 years old. Players that are getting recruited now and since Frost got there weren't around when they were relevant last. So they hear the stories, and that's kind of the blueprint through the 70s and 90s. What they had is like big linemen from around Nebraska, and then they'd get skill position players from Miami or the coasts and stuff like that. And nowadays, the talent level is just evened out to like the newer dominant programs like Alabama, like the current last 10 years teams that have been at the top. And it's going to be an uphill battle for them just to get like talented bodies in there, especially defensively. Like it helps that they're in the Big Ten. I think if they would have stayed in the Big 12 and it's sunk how it has, it would be even worse. But like Johnny said, you kind of have to go after a big name guy. You can't just like Mickey Joseph could win out and you still have to have that conversation. Like, is this the direction we want to go? Is he going to be able to, he's not like a big name guy, you know, who's going to inspire recruits to come out there.
So who do you guys think is the guy? If you had to say right now.
I like Johnny's pick of Bill Belichick first. I think that would be great for Nebraska.
Oh my gosh. They won a national championship first year. Good.
I saw some rumors about Mike Gundy. And I saw one about Bob Stoops.
Nah.
Nah. I don't think either of those will ever happen. I think Gundy's he's had some offers and he's leveraged it into more money.
Yeah.
I don't think like the Tennessee job, I think it was before or after Butch Jones, but he like interviewed, but I don't think he ever intended on taking it. And it was just kind of a ploy like to get more money, which more power to him. I respect it, but I don't think he would make a move like that to go to Nebraska in the state they're in now.
Yeah. And I mean, it's a harder road to the playoff. And
especially with the Big 12 now. Yeah.
And I mean, Mike Gundy is OSU fans aren't going to like this, but he's a groomsman, but he's never the groom. He's a good football coach, but he's just good enough to not get fired. I think most years. And Bob Stoops is chilling, so he's got his whiskey business or whatever it is. Tequila. He's chilling. He's fat chilling on sidelines.
And he does the XFL stuff too.
Yeah, he's still coaching XFL teams and getting his fix in with that. I mean, I think Gundy's a good coach. I think a lot of programs would be really happy to have Gundy. Obviously, he took a OSU team that was nothing and has turned them into basically a Big 12 contender every year. Yeah. And does it consistently with 3-star guys. Like he's getting 3-star, 2-star, occasional 4-star maybe, and they're putting up big games and making a run to try to, win the Big 12 every year. So I think a lot of teams like Nebraska, somewhere who's bigger and may be able to get a little bit more recruits based off of the conference they're in and just their legacy, would be happy to have him. I just don't think he's leaving. I think he's comfortable at OSU, and I think he'll stay there until he either bombs so hard that they have to fire him or until he retires. But
what about
Matt? Yeah, so the question I had on the flip.
Oh.
The question I had on the flip side of that was, where is Scott Frost going to go? And I saw this tweet as a joke, but there's an account that joked about him becoming an offensive analyst at Alabama.
Yep. Nick Saban's school for flamed out coaches.
Dude, imagine like having a coach like that as an offensive analyst and Bill O'Brien, he's just stockpiling a great den of coaches.
This is kind of off topic, but did you guys watch the College Game Day feature on Sark and I'm trying to think who it was? They basically had a bunch of different former Alabama analysts on there, and they were talking about what their time was like, their year or two they spent there, and they made he paid them $30,000 a year.
Ooh.
And they showed like footage from their coaching staff room. And they had the outer track, and they would sit out there with the interns, Steve Sarkisian, good offensive mind. I'm trying to think who else has been offensively.
Lane Kiffin.
Yeah, he wasn't. They didn't show him on there as much, but Bill O'Brien, stuff like that. And it's funny that he doesn't even give him a seat at the table. he's like out there with the interns and the graduate assistants and stuff like that. It's just crazy. And then eventually they became his OCs. But yeah, it's not as glorious as it's someone might think. That College Game Day feature kind of painted the picture of it's not really fun to be there for these coaches. And they had to swallow their pride as well. But
if you do your 1 or 2 years at Alabama, you're probably just getting a big job at another college just because you did a year or two at Alabama. So,
for sure.
That's what all of them you kind of see so far.
Some of the candidates I've seen, Mark Stoops from Kentucky. Now, I think he would do a good job there, but you don't have the expectations at Kentucky. He's been building the program forever. And, like, he just passed Bear Bryant for most wins in program history. Like, they'll probably build him a statue when he's done. I don't think he has any reason to leave. He's got a good situation right now. Like you said, Bill O'Brien. There's some funny ones here. What about Gary Patterson at mid-60s coming in there? What do you think about that?
I don't understand. I really don't understand TCU's move there. Like,
Firing him?
I know they have. Yeah,
yeah.
They haven't been doing great, but he had been recruiting better than they'd ever recruited.
Yeah, it's kind of like a Gundy situation. Like, he's the best coach in school history. Like, and Nebraska kind of ran into that with Bo Pelini. Like, he wasn't the best coach in school history, but like he was average to above average, and like every 3 years they'd be really competitive. And then they fired him, and now look where they're at. They're in this like football hell, and they can't get recruits. They can't win games. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I think that's the same situation OSU's looking at if they were ever to part ways with Gundy. It's I don't know. And then my favorite one on the list, Urban Meyer.
Oh
yeah.
Come on now.
What do you think about that, Christian?
The way he treated his NFL players, I don't think anyone respects him anymore. As this kicker was saying that he was calling him names and kicked him during practice because he wasn't practicing well enough.
The best thing was his quote about Aaron Donald, like, who's this 99 guy?
Yeah.
Like, he's the best player in the NFL. And
Yeah, you don't know who Aaron Donald is. You clearly don't watch film.
You know, I think this brings up a good story that I would love for Joe to share with us. Rest in peace to the great Alan Trimble. But Joe has firsthand experience with coaches putting their hands on their players during practice.
Okay, hold on. I'm gonna. Okay, yeah. Let me go ahead and caveat and say, when Johnny says that, he doesn't mean in an abusive way. He means in a very loving and
supportive,
hilarious and painful way.
Maybe not supportive.
So I played football for Jinx whenever I was in high school. And one day, I don't know what it was. We were just having like a team stretch on like a Saturday morning after a game or something like that. And Coach Trimble is like, walking around. He's kind of talking to everybody. And he comes up to me and we're doing like a butterfly stretch. We got like our legs out, putting our hands down, trying to stretch the back. And he was like, Joe, you got to go lower. And I'm like, okay. It's like lower. And I'm like, Coach, I can't. I'm big. I can't go any lower. And Coach Trimble's also big. He's like, here, I'll help you. So he puts his knees on my back. And he kind of leans into me. And he was a big guy. And I'm like, all right, Coach, that's good. That's good. That's good. And then eventually, I'm so stretched out. And his legs are off the ground. So I got my legs wide open and I'm stretching down the middle of my body and Coach Trimble is on my back. Coach Trimble is on my back all the way with his feet off the ground. His whole weight's on my back.
And that's what I call a good couching story.
Then he gets off of me and I will say I felt very loose after that. But yeah, that was what happened.
I love
yeah.
that story. It's a great story.
Rest in peace, Coach Trimble. Love the guy. Big part of my testimony. Yeah. But
Well,
that didn't
I
hurt.
don't know how you follow that up, but maybe Nebraska should look at Lance. I always say his last name wrong. Kansas coach Lance Leopold. I mean, 2-0, leading the Big 12 right now. Kansas Jayhawks. Maybe he should just make the jump while he's hot. Just make the jump to Nebraska.
Yeah, come on. Hey, you know who I would hire? Coach O. Why not?
I think
Right?
they should
Why
hire.
not?
I think they should hire Jason Brown.
No,
I think they should hire Jason White and his jeans.
Buddy Stevens.
Did you guys?
Coach Marcus
I know
Woods.
some of you are on TikTok, some aren't. Have you seen
him break down Kyler Murray's film?
Yeah, he talks
Just
a bunch of trash.
Yeah,
on film.
Yeah,
like he could do better. Yeah, I never liked
your couch.
No, awful couch, terrible couch.
Not a very good couch.
So looking forward to this weekend. I'm honestly very excited to sleep in. We may not have 11 a.m. games once we move to the SEC.
I was gonna ask if you wanted to watch the game with me, but I guess that's off the table now.
I mean, you want me to drive to Nebraska with you?
Don't think I'm going this one. Don't think I'm making this trip. So, as of now, I'm not. But
okay,
the invitation is open if you don't want to sleep in.
So, guys, we're talking about watching the game this Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
Let me get your input, especially you, Johnny. How many wings can I put you down for during the game? I am a 15 wing favorite. Are you taking the over or under on me?
Against who? Just you against the wings?
Yeah, it's Joe against Joe. I would take the over, absolutely. I've been to Wingstop with you so many times.
Shout out to Wingstop. We'd love to have you sponsor the podcast.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
That would be legendary. I have seen you eat the 15-piece, like, it's supposed to be, like, for two people.
You've seen me eat that 15-piece and then still be hungry.
Yes. You want to go home on the way back, get, like, a McChicken or two at McDonald's.
Now, hey, let me defend myself a little bit, guys. Most of the time I eat bone-in wings, and so there's a little bit of food missing there. I don't eat the bone. So,
known fact with me and Joe used to live together, and our other roommate Justin Ratcliffe. It's a known fact that Joe does not know how to clean his wings. Just throwing that out there.
Shout out, Justin. We'd have to.
Hey, it's
have to love you on the podcast.
We'd love to have you on the podcast, Ratcliffe. But let me just say, podcast. Ratcliffe eats his bones. Ratcliffe sucks the bone marrow out of his wings.
Yeah,
is that good? Because that's what I should be doing, apparently, according to Ratcliffe. But you see, and I clean the wing. I do. And next time we have wings together, I'm going to let you look at all my wings, and there's not going to be anything left. But he chews on the end of them, and he sucks out that bone marrow. And man, you got to just clean it. I'm sorry, but I'm not like that.
Ratcliffe's a real animal, but
he's different.
Joe, I'm taking the over on the 15 wings as well. I think you are going to probably destroy maybe if you're watching an OU game, you may destroy a 20 to 30 piece this week. Is what I'm thinking.
Sometimes I don't even know what wing I'm on. I just keep watching, and if I'm really into the game,
doesn't matter. You just keep going. But
let me tell you guys, there is no better feeling on this earth than a victory run to Bobo's.
That's true. Wow. Shout out Bobo's. Nobody knows who owns you, when you're open, where you're at, what you're doing for a living, what you do during the week. But we would still love to have you as a sponsor of the
We'd
podcast.
love to have you as a sponsor, Bobo.
Nobody knows if you pay your taxes, but come on our podcast, please.
If you don't, I'd like to put everybody on. Most everybody near the Oklahoma City area is on already, but
Yeah.
if you don't know what Bobo's is, it's this food truck in Eastern Oklahoma City, Eastern Oklahoma City area.
Yeah,
And it's just pulled over on the side of the road at a usually specific spot. They've moved it before, and you just join this Facebook group and you wait until somebody
Yeah, they don't have a
picture.
website. They don't have hours. They don't have
Yeah.
a
phone number,
schedule.
nothing.
It's literally someone will post a picture and be like, they out here.
Hey, they out here today.
That's how it's worded too. They out here, come get it.
Come get it.
And they're
And then
just
the
out
line
there
is
until
so
like
long.
3-4 a.m. until they sell out. And it's open Friday and Saturday. And that's it.
Sometimes. They
Yeah,
could go
some-
3
you
weeks
ne- you
without
never know.
being there.
Yeah.
3 weeks, they're not going to be. And then you're like, okay, maybe Bobo's is done. And then they're like, they out here.
Yep. They out here.
It is, and it's whenever they want. But I will say, us four, we've made a few trips to Bobo's, and 3 of us live in Tulsa, so
Mhm.
it is worth it. Go
Some of the
check it
best
out.
chicken you can have.
Yeah,
They smoke it, they
Next.
fry it, they pour honey on it. Delicious.
Next level customer service too.
yeah.
What you want? All right. So we can put you down for some Wingstop. Noah might go get some Victory Bobos.
I'm taking
but-
the over on Johnny too,
but
and I
What's
think
Johnny's
that Johnny
on
and I
that?
should do it together.
that's
Sounds funny.
assuming
Oh, okay.
that, you only get Victory Bobos if we win. So let's talk about the OU Nebraska game and where our heads are there. Looking forward to that. Joe, what's your main things here? What are you looking at for this game?
So yeah, I would like to see. I think all of us would like to see Marcus Major get a few more touches, maybe start, whatever the deal is there, and offensive line. We need to get more push, and we need to play through the whistle. And I think that's something that Coach Biedenbow can clean up, and we'll get better every week like we do. But that's just an area that we're kind of struggling in the run game right now. So yeah, we need to finish through the whistle.
Yeah, the offensive line's not finishing. They got to finish their blocks.
No, what do you think?
I'm kind of nervous for the game. We'll get to our picks here in a minute, but like I said earlier, I think we're gonna get their best. The defense is coming in near top in the country. They're leading the country in tackles for loss. We talked about on the post-game podcast, but the 3 points given up was the fewest in a game since 2017. It kind of feels like, it's weird to say this, but the defense is kind of ahead of the offense right now.
Yeah.
And it's early in the season, and you're getting like vanilla play calling and stuff like that. But just from a development standpoint, you've got Marvin Mims, who's excellent, marvelous. But there's a lot more like playmakers on the defense, I feel like, right now, and part of that's DG settling in, getting rhythm. But like a guy like Jalil Farouk, who has like 1 catch on the year, we saw him last week constantly getting behind the defense, but they just weren't able to hook up. So I'm kind of nervous for the game. I think that it's going to be close, particularly in the first half, kind of like Kent State. And eventually we'll pull away and win going away. But I think it's going to be a battle for that first half, and we're going to see how the team reacts.
Yeah, I agree with Noah there on, I think this is going to be our first true test. I think obviously their defense has been awful, which sounds like this, that could be positive for us offensively, because that's what we've had a struggle to get going right now. So hopefully we'll be able to figure it out and hang 100 on them, something crazy, just put up a bunch of points. But then their offense is firing, so then this should be a good test for our defense. Our defense has been solid. They've, only allowed 13 points to this at this point of the season. Lots of tackles. Stutzman's going crazy. Billy Bowman's going crazy. And so now we're going to go against an offense who has been producing big numbers. And so I think all around that's going to be a good test for us. So I'm hoping it works out where our defense stays strong and then our offense also just, has a ton of points against this Nebraska team that's been struggling really bad defensively. So hopefully it works out. I think they're going to come out fighting hard. New coach, a little bit of new life in there. But I think we can handle this one. So,
did you say hang 100?
Yeah, I mean, not literally, that's figuratively, but it would be awesome if we hung 100 points on them. So,
I mean, if their defense comes out and plays like they did last week, I mean, 50 is definitely on the table. Georgia Southern put up 642 yards on them at home.
yeah.
And they were basically there just to get their 1.5 mil check and bounce. And they're like, okay, hold this L, and we'll see you, Scott Frost. But
We'll see you.
like I said, like it could be close, but I don't think their defense is as bad as they showed last week. I think it'll come back sort of towards the middle, but I expect it to be a game in the first half for sure.
If we score 100 points, I'll buy you guys 2 hang time jerseys.
Wow. Come on, OU. Score.
Do we need to, for new listeners, do we need to reissue the challenge that was laid out last week?
Yeah, I mean, here's the deal. I don't like that he's only gonna earn like $5. So like that's the thing is if I buy a Hang Time jersey, Hang Time's my favorite player. We've talked about it in past podcasts. Hang Time, if you're listening, we'd love to have you on podcast. We'd love to be your friend, hang out. But the thing was, if we got him on the podcast, I would buy 4 Hang Time jerseys. But who profits from that?
He does. We all get to wear a Hang Time jersey while we're on a podcast with him, and he gets a couple bucks. Kind of cool.
Just a couple bucks, though, nothing more.
Here's the thing: is he will gain like what? We said $12 from that.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. I mean, you
and the podcast like a champion boy is wearing his jersey though.
But he's got lots of fans. He probably has like more jerseys being bought for him than any other punter in history. I think he's doing all right.
Sounds like Joe's trying to get out of spending $500.
Yeah, I am. Now the thing is, if that $500 was going all to Hang Time, then I'd still be okay with it, even though he's making a lot of money.
All right, Hang Time, you heard it. Joe will give you $500 to come on the podcast.
Uh-oh. Hang Time.
That might be against student athlete eligibility stuff right there. We might not be able to
we can work out something with NIL, I'm sure.
Yeah, that's true. He got a car.
Yeah.
He got a Mustang from a car dealership.
Yeah.
Hang Time, I know you're a big FCA guy. You hang out with my guy Jeremy Timms a lot. I will get you a couple of these FCA bracelets, maybe a Bible or two, and can I just offer my friendship and a good time with my 3 buddies here if you come on the podcast. So
sure.
Shout out to Hang Time. We'd love to have you on the podcast.
We absolutely would.
And not spend $500.
Johnny, what you got on this OU Nebraska game? Where are your thoughts heading into this? Hopefully we don't see too much of Hang Time, but what are your thoughts on the rest of the game?
Yeah, I don't see the offense struggling like at all. I actually like last week looking at Kent State, I think I was more concerned for Kent State's defense than I am Nebraska's defense, because I think they're going to come in like trying to give their all, but like I don't know. I think this is week 3. I think that the gears are starting to turn offensively, and I could see Eric Gray or Marcus Major having a 100-yard game. I could see Dylan Gabriel throwing for 250 plus, maybe 3 touchdowns. I think Braden Willis will have a big game for sure, because they know we're going to be doing a lot of play action, going for deep balls to Marvin Mims. And they know we're going to be pulling guards and tackles for Eric Gray and Marcus Major. So with Braden Willis looking like the third option, he could have a big game as well. But honestly, defensively, this may be the easiest game they have all year. Like, big take there. Noah's eyes got real big.
No love for Casey Thompson, huh?
Here's my thing. I do love Casey Thompson, and I think he's a great player. He has almost 800 or 900 yards passing on the season. But his thing is his ability to scramble. Now, let's look at our defense and how they would do against that. So you come out as Casey Thompson and you try to roll left or right. There's either Reggie Grimes or Ethan Downs first.
We'll see.
And after that is David Agwebu and Danny Stutzman. And if he happens to get past that, Billy Bowman's going to come crack him. Like, there's not a way for him to win this. Even if they do play action passes, like Key Lawrence and Billy Bowman are back there. DJ Graham's been playing great. Woody Washington's been playing. Like, the defense is set in a way that I don't think Nebraska, like, it could honestly be a big shutout.
Last week, Connor Schlee ran on OU's defense. I mean, a lot in that first half. Colin, whatever his name is. But 12 carries for 55 yards last week. And he extended a lot of plays just with his legs where he made throws down the field. And so some of them, don't show up on stats as far as rushing, but where he just maneuvered through the pocket, maneuvered around our D line, got to the outside, made throws. So, I mean, I would say hopefully they're all fired up and they stop that this week. But that was my concern from last week is a mobile quarterback, I think, has a better chance of putting something up based off of what I saw from Kent State and the way that their quarterback moved. I mean, I know he had that safety where he stepped out of bounds, but even on that play, if he's an inch further up, he didn't step out of bounds. He escaped 4 guys out of the end zone and would have ran for 15 yards.
Yeah, I think he got back to the 22 or something like that.
Yeah, it was wild. So I'm actually worried about him being mobile. I love our team, but that's one of the things that scares me.
I wouldn't be worried about it because they scored 3 points.
Well, the other thing is I didn't think going into the game that him running was going to be a big deal, but us as just fans, the team has been preached at. I'm sure will be preached at all week about Casey Thompson's running ability. So that's probably going to be BV's biggest thing is don't let him escape.
Here's the other thing about that. I have watched Nebraska's offensive line, and I think Kent State's offensive line might even be better. What's that face?
I think y'all are crazy.
I mean, it sounds crazy, but if you watch them against Northwestern. They just look like just soft, and our D line, they're not soft. I think they're going to eat this week. Johnny, I agree with you.
He crossed his arms. Take that.
Well, guys,
Joe, I did have one more thought going back to you trying to hang out with Hang Time. You are an FCA guy. I saw this week that OU FCA is doing a game day that they sponsor every year, and it's OU versus K-State. So good game. It was $45 to sign up. You get to go to their FCA thing before, and then you get a ticket to the game. And it said that the speaker was Grace Lyons, which is Hang Time's girlfriend, right?
Yeah.
So maybe you need to go crash OU FCA day, see what happens there. Maybe, you talk to your FCA people. Grace is there, so maybe Turk gets there for a little bit. Who knows? Maybe you see your boy.
Yeah, you know what? Those FCA game days, I'm still very new on FCA staff. So those FCA game days, they, as far as I know, it's just a big thing where they have a speaker and they hang out and they have fun and you pay a certain amount and they feed you and stuff like that. Sounds like a fun deal. I just haven't been a part of one yet, but that'd be a fun thing to do. I'll talk to some guys. Maybe us four can just go to one in a few weeks or something. I think they do it on home games, if I'm not mistaken.
Well, if it's a
I
home
know that
game,
they're doing their
no one's
big one
not
for
sticking with
K-State,
us.
which should be a good game.
Yeah. That's right. Yeah. That'd be fun.
Sorry, Johnny. All right, guys. Any other Nebraska thoughts before we get to the next segment?
I just want to be clear that I do think our defense is going to eat, and
I think D-line specifically is going to eat so many wings during the game.
We've said Reggie Grimes is friend of the podcast for his early interactions with us, but can we go ahead and label Ethan Downs friend of the podcast for getting a haircut with me?
See,
Yeah, but he didn't
moved
want to
away
talk
from you.
I
All right,
I thought about posting that picture on Twitter. You took a picture of him, just the back of his head, sitting there at Sports Clips, but I thought that might be a little too creepy to tag him in, so I didn't post it.
Now you've said it on our podcast, so now we
He doesn't. Hopefully he does hear this, but I don't think he's an active listener.
I have cut power.
I don't think he's an active listener.
He could be. He could become one.
Well, I'll be looking forward to our next hangout time on Friday before the K-State game. All right, it is time for everyone's favorite segment we do each week, Bets with the Boys.
Come on.
Starting off, as always, with OU, 10.5-point favorite on the road in Lincoln, Nebraska. Christian, what's your pick?
No surprise here. Staying strong with OU on the cover there. So I'm picking OU to win and to cover. Like I said, I think their defense is so awful that our offense is going to get rolling and really figure out what they're doing. And I think our defense is going to surprise people against Nebraska. I think they've played really well through 2 games, and I see it continuing. I think Nebraska will be our first test, but I did say I'm a little worried, but I don't think they're going to fail the test. I think OU covers.
I think OU covers too. That's all I got to say.
All right.
Johnny?
Yeah, OU covers. If there was like a double cover or triple cover, I would take that.
Oh.
Yeah.
Be
What's
careful.
the no, are you looking at the betting lines right now?
Yep.
What's the total points?
Let's see. Total is 65.5.
Oh, over. Just if you are listening to this and you're thinking about betting on anything, bet over on all of that. So
Under.
Well, if you think it's going to be a shutout, you think OU's putting up 70 on them? 70-0?
Yeah.
Hang 100.
Yes. Okay.
They're going for
All
100.
right,
Joe
so
just
let's-
promised to buy 8 jerseys.
So Johnny, you seem pretty confident. How about we set? What do you want your pick to be for the week? You want it to be over or the covering the 10.5?
I'll just go cover that way. I mean,
Yeah. Okay. There we go.
No, it's trying.
All right. Yeah. Hey, I went on a limb last week and took the under, and although someone tried to make it seem like I took the over.
Yeah, I did mess up on that graphic. My bad, guys.
But
We're all good though. Graphics changing this week. It'll be a little easier.
Yeah. I'm taking OU to cover the 10.5 as well. We've kind of harped on it all podcast long, but I do think it's close in the first half, maybe even the first quarter, but 10.5 is just too small. I think they win by a couple touchdowns.
Yeah.
Moving on to our next game we're picking this week. Oregon is a 3.5-point favorite at home against BYU. Guys, what do you think?
I'm gonna pick BYU this time. Week 1 I picked Oregon and they didn't cover the spread. Last week I picked Baylor and BYU ended up covering the spread. So
Crazy game.
With that in mind, I have picked Oregon once. They've let me down. I didn't pick BYU. They proved me wrong. I think BYU's quarterback is playing extremely well. We talked about last week, like not knowing who he was. That once Zach Wilson left, but Hall is playing extremely well. And then they might get their 2 big-time receivers back. I think that's a big part of it. If those guys come back, I definitely pick BYU. I'm hoping they make it back in time for this game. But I think I'm going to pick BYU to cover the spread. They're 2 for 2 in covering the spread this season. So.
I just can't count Bo Nix out. Oh my gosh. What a QB. What a QB. Just a hard working, nose to the ground type of player.
Heck
You know
yes.
what I'm saying? So I'm taking Oregon, and I'll take them to cover.
I'm torn on this one because I just honestly don't know. I think I'm going to side with Johnny and pick Oregon to cover. And I think this is a quality opponent, and this is the game that Oregon really kind of proves themselves as a, I guess, top 25 team. So, yeah.
I wasn't really impressed with Oregon week 1, obviously getting curb stomped by Georgia. BYU last week, that Tennessee game was crazy. I picked Tennessee, and it looked like they were actually going to win by a field goal, which wouldn't have covered, but they got the touchdown. I'm going to roll with BYU this week. Not a ton of reasoning behind it, just I think they've played in better games, so they might be more prepared for the somewhat hostile environment up in Eugene. So I'm going to take BYU here. Let's see. Moving on to our last game that we're all picking together, and that would be Texas A&M Miami. Yeah. Yep. Okay, so right. Texas A&M is favored by 5.5 points against Miami. Fellas, what are your thoughts?
Miami covers and wins the game, knocks them out of the top 25.
Wow. Okay.
I'm also picking Miami to cover the spread. They covered week 1 with a really big win. A&M has not covered in either week. They didn't beat their first opponent. I think it was Sam Houston State. Yeah, they didn't beat them by enough to cover the spread in week 1. Obviously, they lost last week. They paid Appalachian State. Is that who they played?
Yep.
They paid them $1.5 million to come in and beat them. So that was pretty cool. That video is going around Twitter of the A&M guy talking at their pep rally to get everyone pumped up and talking crap about Appalachian State before the game, and then they got destroyed. So love that video. That's been awesome. So I'm picking Miami to cover the spread. I also think they're going to win, but obviously for this, I'm just going to say cover the spread. So
I think Miami's going to win and cover. Tyler Van Dyke is their quarterback. Great talent coming out when he's coming out of high school. Best Miami quarterback they've had in a while. I think they just have a lot of going at that school, and the culture's good. I think Texas A&M is probably going to try to prove they're worthy, so it'll be a good game, but I still see Miami covering for sure.
I'm going to zig while you guys zag. I'm going to go with A&M to bounce back. Miami has looked good this year. A&M would just be the more talented team. I'm kind of banking on them bouncing back after an embarrassing loss last week. Jimbo said he was kind of defensive in his post game, saying the season's not over. We just got to keep playing, which in the grand scheme of things, their season is over unless they were to run the gauntlet through the SEC, win the SEC championship. But I think they'll bounce back this week and cover the 5.5 needed.
He needs that pep talk. He really needs someone to get in there and light a fire under them, because they are not doing a good job right now. I'll tell you that much. He's not looking like the Jimbo Fisher from Florida State, and he hasn't looked like that for a while. So
yeah.
Well, all right. We got to remember that a majority of their players are young too.
Yeah.
I mean, he's had great recruiting classes, but they're all very young still.
Mhm.
So
All I can think about whenever anyone talks about him is Jimmy Neutron's dad doing the "Hey Jimbo" every time. That's all I think of. So,
Jimmy's mom. All right. So
All
Joe,
right.
what is
Yeah.
your wild card pick?
So my wild card game is Texas Tech and NC State. NC State is a 10-point favorite. I'm saying I'm
10 and a
saying
half,
Texas.
Joe.
I'm saying or no 10-0. That's what mine says.
You
We'll
on
just
FanDuel?
it doesn't matter. Who cares? 10.0 is what mine says. But I'm going to say Texas Tech covers and might even win the game.
I was
Might
completely
even
wrong
win.
about their quarterback last week. The guy that we talked about the whole time, he was their starter and he got hurt. Their second string guy was the one that had came in that game before and threw 4 touchdowns. But I think Show's still out, so they're still rolling with their second string.
Yeah.
Johnny, where are you going with your wild card game?
So I'm looking at the Washington Huskies and the Michigan State Spartans. I went back and forth on this one most of the day. I think Mel Tucker is one of the best coaches in the country. I think Michigan State has some good players. Obviously, they had a lot of good wins last year. And then I went back and forth about Michael Penix. He transferred over from Indiana, and he's had some good games, and they're both 2-0 teams. But I just think Mel Tucker outcoaches Washington. I think they're going to win and cover.
Can you tell me the name of that player one more time?
Michael Penix
Thank
with
you.
an X.
Okay.
Might be Penix. I don't know. Penix.
All right, for my wild card game, we are going to Southern California. USC, Fresno State. USC is favored by 12.5. That number is way too small. It's kind of funny, guys. I was looking at my FanDuel lineup. I've been cleaning up so far this college year. I'm undefeated. I was looking at it at halftime of the OU game, and it said Caleb Williams was like 6 for 7 for 160 something yards and 2 or 3 touchdowns, and Jordan Addison was just going absolutely nuts. I think that combo, along with their run game, they don't have like a feature back per se, but it's really deep with Travis Dye transferring in. Their receiving core is just too good. Caleb's just too good. I don't think their defense will really matter as much in this game against Fresno State. I think they easily win by 2 touchdowns and cover the spread.
Yeah, for my game, I'm picking Penn State versus Auburn. I think they are right now. I'm going to take. I think I'm going to take Penn State in this game. They are a 3-point favorite in this matchup, 3.5. And so I'm going to take Penn State. Maybe if it was a little bit more of a gap, I would change it there. But Auburn struggled early on in the season. Penn State had a huge win last week against Ohio. And so big blowout game for them. I think Penn State's rolling. Auburn's struggling a little bit. I know Penn State beat them last year, and Auburn really wants revenge, but I still think Penn State's going to get the win. I think they're just the better team right now. And so at 3.5, I'm taking Penn State. They've covered both of their games. They covered the spread in both their games this year, and Auburn has not covered yet this year. So I'm going to pick Penn State on that one. I think they're going to get the win and get out of Auburn with a win there. I think we got to talk a little bit about last week's picks, some of those games, the way they finished up, and where we're at in the standings. I guess we could say Noah could do it, but really he joined back up on a tie. There's a 3-way tie for last place right now. between Joe, Noah, and Johnny, they're all three tied for last place. I'm in first. They're all.
This is what's going to happen. This is what's going to happen. The second, the week that Christian isn't winning,
this week
he's losing,
it'll be this week.
We'll see.
You're not going to hear him talk about it ever again.
I'm going to be gone. I'm
we won't
gone
let
from
him
the
forget
podcast.
it.
We'll see you. I'm going to throw the sign, disappear.
But while he's up, we're never going to hear the end of it. So
but Noah had a really good week picking. I mean, he was 1-3 the first week, and then he turned it around and went 3-1. He had the best week this week.
I'm just gonna refer to Instagram and read a comment that was left by Christian on our picks post. Yeah, picking BYU is an awful take at Noah. Deacon Jones, friend of the podcast, agreed. I just hit him with the smirk after.
Yeah. I will also say last week on the podcast, Noah tried to roast all of us for picking Texas to cover. He's the only one who didn't pick that. He called us crazy.
If I go down rooting against Texas, I mean, you just got to do it, you know? That was a great pick by you guys, but
all 4 episodes I've been talking about how good Texas was, and they played phenomenally. Quinn Ewers might have won them that game had he not got hurt.
Oh, okay. I was like, wait, what?
Could possibly be. I mean, there was a tweet that went out like middle of the third quarter that Quinn Ewers was still the leader in throwing yards at that point. Passing yards, that word just went out of my mind. But in passing yards, after being hurt for a quarter and a half, still at that point. So he was playing extremely well before he got hurt. So that was disappointing. I mean, it's the outcome that I wanted to see. Alabama win, but it's still a really close game, and Texas covers the spread. So I think just that game in general. What was y'all's? I don't think we can just do a college football podcast and not talk about that, though. Like that game, what was y'all's thoughts?
Alabama, I'm not taking away from Texas' performance because they're not like OU. Texas isn't going to be just a cakewalk like we would like to think. I don't think, but Alabama did play just really bad, I thought. So, they're not back, but almost.
I think their defense played really well.
Yeah.
It's somewhere in the middle of like Alabama not playing well and Texas playing really well. I think it'll kind of regress towards the mean as the season plays out, but their defense looked good. They were swarming to the ball. They were gang tackling, and they were making tackles in space when they had one-on-one situations.
Alabama or Texas?
Texas.
Oh, okay.
I was really surprised to not see Will Anderson have like 5 sacks. I'll be honest.
The only time you really heard him was when he had that offsides penalty down a stretch. And that was really all you heard. And I tried going back, well, it would have been Sunday afternoon and looking. It didn't seem like they were double teaming him off the edge that much.
No, like Texas offensive line was really good. It was weird, like Texas defensive line, I talked about them before, like they have some seniors and like redshirt seniors, some thick boys in the middle there. And they were like pretty disruptive against like former 5-star players that Alabama has. So,
and I'm hoping Dime Time steps it up and we get more out of him the next couple weeks. But based off of that game, it looked like Quinn Ewers could be the best QB in the Big 12 right now, which I know he's hurt. I know he's probably maybe not even playing this week, but he looked like the best QB.
Okay. He's out until at least
OU.
Red River. Yeah.
Well,
I wouldn't be surprised if he came back.
The best quarterback
in that
in
game.
the Big 12 as of right now. The best Big 12 in the quarterback in the Big 12 as of right now is Adrian Martinez. He's been playing the most consistent, but yeah, I would honestly love it if Quinn was back for the game because I don't want to hear Texas fans say, "Oh, well, you had our second string quarterback," all that other crap. Even though Hudson Card literally won the starting job, and then Sark was like pressured into playing Quinn Ewers.
Yeah, we won't talk about that.
I would love for us just to destroy Texas. I think it just kind of helps our narrative of everyone freaking out about Texas and OU can't keep up in the SEC, and then to see Texas go blow for blow with their backup quarterback for half the game with Alabama and almost beat them if they get that sack at the end, which, Bryce Young made a play. He got out of that sack, got under it, and went around and made the throw. But, they're that close to beating the best SEC team coming out of the Big 12.
I think that's Georgia this year, but we'll see down the stretch.
I agree, Christian.
Well, I think that pretty much wraps us up on our picks. I'm only one game ahead, so this week could be anything. I'm 5-3, and these guys are 4-4. So we'll see what happens coming out of the rankings this week. We will see you guys Saturday night for a post-game pod.
Yeah, we haven't really talked to this yet, but we should be able to get that pretty quick. We're all just watching the game at home, right?
Correct.
Should just be able to hop on.
I'm moving.
Joe, you're moving this weekend, huh?
Yeah, so it'll just depend, but I'll let you guys know.
Sure.
I'll try my best. All right, guys. Thanks for listening to another episode of Podcast Like a Champion today. Make sure you go follow us on Twitter and Instagram and look out for giveaways and OU content. Also, leave us a 5-star review. And if you have a question you'd like us to address on the next podcast, you can comment on any streaming platform. Thanks for hanging out. We'll see you.